Welcome to Business Prowess with Rafael and Juanita. Our show will bring you the best insights, ideas, and inspiration from successful entrepreneurs and CEOs in the business world. We'll talk to experts and business leaders. Don't miss out on the opportunity to learn from the best and stay ahead of the game. Sifu Rafael is the founder of 5 unique shows. He's a fitness professional, solutions expert, executive coach, and head instructor at Max Martial Arts and Fitness in New York. Juanita Cap is a public speaker who was in the ministry for 15 years. She has extensive knowledge of various topics such as leadership and communication, and has emceed many executive and academic events. Juanita is the founder of 2 unique shows. Her life motto is never give up.
Good morning, everybody. Juanita, how are you doing today? It's Friday.
Yay! Good day, Sifu Us. I'm doing so well, thank you. How are you?
Exceptional, getting better every day. Every day I do a little more.
Yes,
I always
that's
strive.
the way to do it.
We have an exciting show. We have 2 exceptional coaches who are really making a difference in our world. Why don't we go ahead and bring them on? We have Colin. Colin, come on down. And
Hey there.
have Hernan. Hernan, how are you, my friend?
Hey everyone,
Welcome.
super excited.
Hi, nice to meet you all.
Yes, we are definitely doing an international business show today. So I want everybody to tell us where in the world you are. I'll start off. I'm in Long Island, New York. Juanita, take it away. Where are you?
I am in South Africa.
What? Nice. Colin?
I'm in Nova Scotia, Canada, Atlantic seaboard.
Beautiful. Hernan?
I'm in Buenos Aires, Argentina, South America.
What I tell you, international people. So business happens every day. We all have different time zones, but we understand that business has totally changed. And we're going to talk about that and how we do business in today's age. It's changed so drastically, even in the last 3 to 5 years, right, gentlemen? Young lady?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. It very much is a new world order in business.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the pandemic accelerated a lot of changes, right, for all of us. On our end, we've been a remote team for the past 7+ years, so we were in lockdown before, even actually was a thing. But I think that right now things are moving so fast and so differently that you stay ahead and you adapt, or you get left behind. So
That's
I
without a
agree.
doubt. That's without a doubt.
Absolutely. And the business trends are changing every day. So we really have to stay up to date, Hernan. I agree with you guys. Definitely. It's a new ball game and we have to stay on top of all the new developments.
Absolutely.
I'd love to hear, Colin, your take on, we're going to talk about fear, right? And what some businesses can even learn from that. Would you mind taking away? Hernan, do me a favor. While Colin's speaking, if you can, I'm going to put him on by himself. And then also, if you can put whatever links you want us to share on the chat, on the private chat, go for it. And everybody, do me a favor. Now that you know we're international, go in there and tell us, where in the world are you listening to us from? We'd love to hear it. Even if you see this on the replay, hit hashtag replay and tell us where in the world you watched it. So, Colin, take it away, my friend.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, I think I'm stuck for words, which is strange. I think the pandemic highlighted how challenging life has become in the age of knowledge, right? We are living in a world of hyper novelty, like everything is new. Even Facebook and Twitter, these are only tools that are 20 years old. So how is that impacting our evolutionary biology? And what I've seen with myself and my businesses and my clients is that we live in the age of knowledge, where most people you are interacting with have already done a lot of research around whatever you're talking about, whether you're in sales or marketing or communications or selling widgets or products. The audience, I think, no longer wants to be sold to. They no longer want to be marketed to. They no longer want to be broadcasted to. For me, it's about this shift in what is your brand promise? What are you really doing? What is the impact that you want to make? What is the deeper story to what you're doing? The why, right? Because everything's changed. We can no longer sell, creative ideas that have been dreamed up in, a marketing agency, right? And expect people to consume it and go, oh yeah, that's okay. I think that tagline is great. So from a business perspective, for me, it's all about stopping and going in deep, much deeper into the conversations, into what's going on. So that for me is the biggest change. And being in the age of knowledge, where with very incredible tectonic shifts in demographics, and I think we have to recognize that the last 40 years has been so totally abnormal with respect to history, right? That it's all about checking your assumptions again and rethinking and not broadcasting and not pushing garbage, really, right? that nobody wants to hear anymore. Those days are over. But it's scary, right?
It totally is. You brought something up, and I think that Hernan could probably kick it in as well when you talked about Facebook, right? Because one of the things that a lot of people, Facebook really blew up at one point, and it did so initially for college age people, and then it just blew up everywhere. That a lot of the kids now said, wait, I don't want to be where my parents are. So a lot of other platforms said, yeah, we need to listen. And in business, a lot of people dismiss the young ones, don't they? They dismiss them. Meanwhile, the ones that didn't dismiss them are making billions. Hernan, I'd love to get your take on that, my friend.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, actually. And when a client comes to us, first off, I do agree with Colin that things have changed dramatically. And what we like to go after is after the fundamentals, right? Like what makes people take action. There's a fantastic book called Influence by Robert Cialdini. It's a book that I studied, and we tell our clients, we tell our students to go out there and study that, because it tells you about the fundamentals of how people operate, right? And the fundamentals is, if you master the fundamentals, then changes in technology, changes in world order and all of that might not sway you as much, because you're mastering the basics and the fundamentals. Now, when it comes to how to approach a long-term marketing campaign, right? That's what we do at Scale Driven. Is marketing is always, digital marketing is always a marathon. It's never a sprint, right? It's always a marathon. We always tell our clients that they need to keep on advertising. In these weird times, the people are winning, other people are doubling down on advertising. They get more market share, they get more opportunities just for being out there on the attack a lot more. And when a client comes to us, it's like, what are the platforms that we can use to get you clients right now, right? Depending on the client's niche and the client's products and whatnot, we might go after, for instance, Facebook, right? If we're targeting maybe a quote unquote older demographic and whatnot, we go after Facebook. If we target a younger demographic, we might go after Instagram or TikTok or something like that. But the main point is that people that are thinking 3, 4, 5 years ahead, they are starting to do things right now for those audiences or for those buyers but they're not buyers right now. They're future buyers, right? So if you pay attention to the trends, it's like Gary Vaynerchuk and some others, right? Like, for instance, Alex Hormozi is doing a lot of this right now. He's nurturing those buyers 2, 3, 4, 5 years before they actually become buyers. So you need to have these balance when it comes to your budget, when it comes to your resources of nurturing and getting and capturing today buyers, but also 3 to 6 months to a year buyers, and also 3 to 5 years buyers. So that, I think, will give you a comprehensive approach to marketing and advertising in general.
But I mean, what you said there is so important, right, Hernan, about nurturing, right? Nurturing the relationship. And I think that's such an important point. And I think you're spot on in terms of that long-term relationship. One of my sort of tenets or foundations of belief are that relationships last forever, and you need to treat people as though they do, right? And if you come at marketing and communications and business from this perspective that relationships last forever, they need to be nurtured. They need to take time. We can't, as professionals, just sort of turn on the fire hydrant with messaging, because people have become really good at saying, no, thanks. I'm going to shift over here where we're having a real conversation, real dialogue, talking about real things. So I think you're spot on in terms of nurturing.
I agree. Sifa, you are muted. Yeah.
So that's part of nurturing, being able to be heard, right? You can try nurturing, but if your message is not heard, then it doesn't help anybody.
I love that.
So, did I do that on purpose? No, I'm just kidding. But let's think about, and Hernan and Colin, you guys are so dead on with what we're talking about, because nurturing is so critical, and realizing that maybe my message today is a message they need to start hearing, but they won't act on it for 3 to 5 years later. And then the other thing that I think that in order to nurture, and you talked about communication, and you also, Colin, you talked about relationships, right? I think one of the things that some companies are thinking is they just want a customer, and they want a customer to last, but they are forgetting the one most important thing that they need from their customers to understand about them, and that is trust.
Yes.
Trust is probably the biggest thing that we can put out there, because it's the way we do things, the way we do business. And the minute a customer loses that tiny little bit of trust in us, man, that is super hard to regain, right?
I agree. I agree with everything that you gentlemen have mentioned here. And as Colin was speaking, I was thinking about the fact that after COVID, or since COVID, even our marketing has become something personal. Because before COVID, I think we kind of had this worldview. It's home life and it's business life. And all of a sudden, they became one. And people had to really move their businesses, towards the home space. And it changed the whole culture. And now, after having had those losses, after some businesses that have scaled, everything really kind of personalized. Business is now a more personal, effect or aspect of our lives. And, Hernan is speaking as well about the marketing. And I was thinking about the one word, Hernan. I was thinking about cultivating. We are cultivating this soil of business now for the years to come. And in essence, we are cultivating a culture. And in Sifu, you mentioned trust. And I thought to myself, not only is business personal, it has changed. Our framework for how we view business has changed, but also we are cultivating a field, a business arena for the years to come. But we are doing that through building trust and building relationships. So I agree, absolutely. The whole game has changed And I think it's good because I think now we focus more on the client themselves than specifically on all the other aspects that are involved. We're focusing on the individual, and that's a good thing.
Without a doubt. You know, Juanita, being that you in the ministry for 15 years, I think that we as a business have to consider faith.
Yes.
And I think that's what we're all talking about. To have faith, to have a belief that this business that we're in has a trajectory, a timeline of what we're going to be doing, how we're going to adapt. And we need to be able to bring that to the forefront and let our customers know our goals. Because a lot of times business does not always include the customers. They don't ask what they want. So a lot of times, if we start to think of the customers first before we even start a new venue, or even we do a merger or an acquisition, we should ask our current clients, what are your thoughts on this? What do you think? What do you think, gentlemen? Even on advertising, would it be okay to do A/B testing with our current clients?
Well, shall I go first?
Of course, go for it.
I'm a big believer that we have kind of lost touch. You know, just speaking to the comment about faith, right? I think we've lost touch with our humanity. Like so many businesses have gotten so big and so sort of controlling and manipulative that they completely forget that there's a human being at the other end of the equation. And I think we need to, and we deserve to bring humanity back into the equation. You know, is this right for us little things that are spinning around at 1,700 kilometers an hour, you know, on a little pebble in the middle of the universe, right? You know, is it respecting humanity, and is it respecting this thing called Mother Nature? So that's just my 2 cents, that we need to bring that faith back. We need to bring that humanity back into the equation. And I think one of the great things about social media is that now corporations are no longer sort of I think these big ominous unfaceless things, right? You just have to look at a beer company right now in the US that is having a reaction to
big time,
you know, a story. So I think things are changing. That the power to the people, power to the consumer. That's my take. Anyway, Hernan, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you, Colin. I think that, you know, once I heard Tony Robbins say something like, you now can say my name, you know, anywhere, and you can fill up a stadium in the middle of the Sahara Desert, right? And the reason behind it is because I've been putting out goodwill, and I've been creating goodwill for the past 20 plus years, right? So I think that there's a lot of truth to that, and that's something that I tend to remind myself every single day, because, you know, as entrepreneurs and business owners, we need to deal with the day-to-day things that come up. We need to juggle, you know, clients and payroll and this and that, the other thing, and the marketing right now. But I think that that's the difference that I think it lies in between direct response, right? Direct response advertising and branding advertising. From my realm, it's like direct response advertising, again, will give you money right now, but nothing really grows through time without, you know, doubling down on creating goodwill and creating relationships and nurturing that. And at the end of the day, the companies that are doing that, they realized that there is a human being on the other end, and there's somebody that you need to serve, because you wouldn't survive without your customers, without your clients, right? Without people like paying attention to what you have to say. So, you know, I think that having that in mind, like trying to create a strategy or an approach where you can still get today's needs met, right? You can still pay salaries, and you can still do everything that you need to do today, but also like betting on the future based on the fact that you're investing, you're saving on that goodwill account, right? So when it comes the time to ask, which we welcome, it will come eventually, because at the end of the day, we're trying to do business, grow business, and help others. The goodwill is there, so the rewards are much higher and broader and greater. So that's my 2 cents on that topic.
Absolutely. When we think about goodwill, right? And we think about even what Tony Robbins said, and I thank you for bringing that up, because it is true. That man could go anywhere and say, I'm going to have an event that in 20 minutes, there'll be like a million people. And if he says for free, forget it, it'll be 2 million people. But here's the thing. It's because of the way he nurtures people. He probably has one of the biggest hearts that you can see in a person, besides the guy being a giant almost, right? He literally has a huge heart, and he has understood what makes people tick, what makes people think, what makes them become better. So when we are thinking about the vibrations of business, that is it. And then the other thing that I was considering right now when you guys were talking was, how do we train our customers on that cult? Did I say cult? I meant culture. I'm kidding, guys. Culture, right? So think about it. Is it a cult, or is it a culture that we're creating? Because do you want people to follow you blindly, because that would be a cult? Or do you want them to follow you because they see everything that's going on? So the difference between a cult and your culture is huge, right? So that's why I brought it up that way, cult or culture. And when we think about definitely considering our customers, how do we, in a positive way, the way Tony has trained so many people to become his followers, how do we do something like that let's say I have a tire shop, right? Or I have a corporation with 10,000 people. How do I create that culture where they feel like they're heard?
Absolutely.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go, Hernan. You go. I'll go after you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something real quick. Like, I had this very distinctive experience when it comes to creating the culture for your business, right? Both externally and internally. We work with a lot of personal brands. We work with a lot of other coaches, consultants, and we work. That's kind of our deal, and has been for the past 7 years. And we have this really distinctive approach, and the type of customers that we were getting for one brand versus the other. When it comes to personal brands, and also when it comes to corporate brands, I think that the type of content that you're putting out, the type of vibe that you're giving out in the market will attract that type of customer, right? Like, for instance, we had this client at Scale Driven, where he was like super chill, super cool, type of vibe and whatnot. And all of his clients were that vibe, right? They were resonating a lot with him. And on the other hand, we had this other client where he was like a lot more, I would say, corporate, a lot more professional, clean cut and whatnot. He was always with a suit and a tie in all of his videos. And then he was attracting and resonating with that specific audience in terms of who he was doing business with. So you attract a lot of what you put out in the marketplace, especially when it comes to the content that you put out, the type of people that you end up working with. And that's how you create, quote unquote, your cult or your culture. So that's and that's based on my experience working with these two very distinct type of clients and client profiles. So
Amazing, wonderful input there. Thank you, Hernan. I was thinking about Tony Robbins, about what you said, Sufu, and he's been consistently cultivating, love and acceptance and empowerment and development, and all of those aspects speak to humanity itself, because we all need that, in our lives, not just in our business life, but also personally. And I think what I love about him is he's an authentic leader. So he's been consistently over the last 20 years creating that culture, speaking to humanity, speaking to our deepest needs as humans and as human beings and fathers and mothers and sisters and daughters. And he also speaks to our professional side as well. So he really did a good job of intertwining those two. And that's why people just love him, because he's authentic. He's sincere. He's always the same. He's consistent. And you spoke about faith earlier in this session. And I want to say, when I think of Tony Robbins, I see someone that has faith. I see someone that has courage. And, that doesn't have fear for circumstances, because he addresses the topics. And as he addresses the topics and he intertwines that with humanity, he really helps people to empower themselves. And I think that's what people love about him, because he just looks and feels and is powerful and strong. And that's what people long for. They don't want to live in fear, and they don't want to be scared for today and for the next day.
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. I want to take a second right now and share with you guys an event that we have coming up today at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Take a look, everybody.
Are you ready for an unforgettable experience that will inspire and motivate you? Look no further than Heroes Rising. This virtual event will showcase some of the speakers who will grace our stage in July. Join us May 12th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Heroes Rising brings together a lineup of incredible speakers and thought leaders who will share their wisdom and insights on how to become the hero of your own story. With topics ranging from personal development and leadership to entrepreneurship and social impact, this event has something for everyone who wants to make a positive difference in the world. Whether you're an aspiring leader, an entrepreneur, or simply someone who wants to be inspired and motivated, Heroes Rising is the perfect opportunity to connect with like-minded individuals and learn from some of the most influential voices in the industry. Don't miss your chance to be a part of this transformative experience. Get your tickets now and join us for Heroes Rising on May 12th.
That's today, right? May 12th? Just kidding. Wow, I am super stoked. But gentlemen and young lady, what I always call a young lady, you know why? Because she is a martial artist and she literally kicks butt. She is amazing. She is amazing. And not only that, I know she's in South Africa, but so many times I talk to her, where are you? I'm in St. Louis. I'm in Missouri. I'm in New York. I'm here. I'm there. She's a world traveler as well. I'm so delighted, Juanita, that you and I decided to do this show because, look, we have two truly exceptional coaches here with us who make our world just that much better. I want to touch upon something that you may have not seen on screen. Maybe you weren't looking, but I saw something that really brought joy to my life when I was looking at Colin's image, because his dog came and gave him a kiss. Right? It was so awesome. And you know what we miss is the way we sometimes greet our customers. We're like, hey, how you doing? Instead of like, oh my God, I'm so happy you're here. Happy to see you today. So even if it's on a virtual thing, even if it's an email, a lot of times I get emails and they just bombard me with stuff and say, instead of just taking one quick sentence and say, I hope you're having a great day. How are you today? So it's that little impact that we can make how we communicate. So I think communication is one of the key factors that we're all here talking about, right?
I think it's also about distraction. I think we live in a world, I feel it anyway, where if we don't set up some kind of almost like a protective barrier, like kryptonite, if we're not protecting ourselves, we get bombarded with so much negativity, right? And we all know why and what it does and things, but we get numb to the fact that we're all human beings, and our culture and our society and social media and all of these other things contribute to that distance away from humanity, right? We forget on the other side of the phone or the email, there's a real human being. And I think, back to Tony, I think that's why he's resonated with people for so long, because he goes straight to their heart, right? He's right there because he recognizes that humanity in everyone.
You know, it's before I know, Hernan, you're about to speak, but I think that if we do it at the same time and we all say Tony 3 times, his ears are going to ring. You guys ready? Let's do it. Let's try it. Let's try it on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Tony, Tony, Tony.
Tony. I'm sure
Go ahead, Hernan.
I wanted to ask Colin, what's the name of the dog?
Her name is Blue.
That's great.
Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that that's, you know, this is also changed, right? Because I'm also at my home office, you know, and then I have a small cat that will come in and meow just by the microphone and whatnot. So I have to mute myself and whatnot. But you know, I think that shows up that, you know, we're talking about Tony, we're talking about how things have changed. I also saw a question which is like, what are real things to talk about? I think that vulnerability has become kind of right that we need to abide by. And one of the reasons why I think Tony resonates that much with people is because he opens his heart. He's vulnerable, right? And he's not afraid of doing that, right? Like he will talk to people who would start crying like in the middle of a conference. So he's like with his heart up his sleeve. And I think that vulnerability is something that sometimes we forget about, right? Whether it is because of the tools that we're using or whether it is because we're in a really mental state when doing business, right? I happen to be in a mental state a lot of the time because we're running ads and we're trying to analyze data and whatnot. So that requires certain mental capacity or mind frame. But then you need to realize that you're talking to people. You need to, you know, those things I think are beautiful. The fact that, you know, you're here and maybe, you know, you have kids running around and whatnot because we're in our home offices and that kind of adds to the human aspect of things and the vulnerability side of things. And at the end of the day, you know, once you do that, then people will resonate. People end up resonating a lot more with you. And, you know, we have that example, which is a great example of Tony. So I think that vulnerability or having more vulnerability in your day-to-day communication with people can definitely get you to the spot where you want to be. So
Beautiful.
You know, one of the things that, and I love what you just talked about, your cat coming in meowing. Don't mute it. Let people hear it. But here's the thing. When we think about the shift that everybody had to make, create their own home offices. I've had interviews with people where they're in their closet, right? So, and you can tell they're, you know, they got clothes behind them or they actually converted their closet into a space and they have, you know, all the cameras and the lights and everything set up because they had to adapt. But I think it totally has changed the way we do business. The pandemic has truly brought out the feelings, the reality of even the big time CEOs who say, you know what, my customers are doing better. My employees are doing better. What's this dynamic? What's going on? Is it because they're not stressing because they have to drive an hour and a half to get to work? Is it because they can have lunch with their family instead of with people they work with? Is it because they don't have to stress about coming to work? Maybe they can take their kids to school and still get even more production done. I had a friend of mine who's an architect, and he was able to produce probably what 2 or 3 architects would have done in 1 month by himself because he was working from home.
Beautiful.
And he got recognized because of it. They didn't ask him to do it, but they realized that, wow, we cannot lose this man. He is incredible. So when we think about productivity, when we give someone the reins as an employee and say, here it is, or we give them a rope, you can pull yourself up or you can hang yourself. What's the choice, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to, before I speak to that, Sifu, I just want to say Colin has a dog, Hernan has his cat, and I'm here between chirping birds. So it's a whole family orientated show today. I agree with you. I just have one comment to add to that because you articulated that so well. And I just want to say, there's nothing that stifles creativity as much as micromanagement. And I think that friend or that business person, individual that you spoke about now, he had the free reins to do what he's good at. And he did that in a comfortable environment. And his output was 3 times that it would have been when he had to sit in his office being micromanaged, perhaps did not per se, just just an example. So I think it was a wonderful shift. I love working from home because it gives me more time to do what I love to do. So just having that freedom to sit down and work your own hours and get the things done, and just to be good at the things that you're good at. That is what one of the pluses or one of the positive spins are of COVID.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur since probably 92. So for me, having several businesses, I've always had the ability to run around, do whatever it is I need to do. But for me to be successful at all of my businesses, and Juanita, you were at one of them, it's how do I treat my clients, their family, right? And you didn't see my other businesses, but some of the other things that I'm always doing is how can I make their lives better? Because if I make their lives better, what are they going to do for me? What are they going to do for me? And I'm not helping them get their lives better because of me. I'm doing it because I intentionally want to do it for them. I know that just that little bit of help that I can give them, that tiny little bit can make a difference in their lives. Whether I get anything in return or not, that's irrelevant for me.
It does feel like there's a bit of a revolution happening in the workplace, and interesting that you mentioned architecture. I know from some consulting colleagues of mine that even the architecture of the office now is changing dramatically. It no longer is it this place or space of productivity, right? Sort of industrial. There, the dogs are going crazy again.
You know what? They're chiming in. That's okay. That's okay.
They're chiming in.
They're like, oh, I agree with you.
I think we've kind of rapidly come into this post-industrial revolution new way of being. And I think everybody's got to get with that program pretty quickly, because employers or employees are saying, hold on, what's this all about? Why do I have to go to that place to, churn out a widget and be evaluated based on really old paradigms? The world is dramatically different thanks to thanks to what happened in the last few years. And hallelujah. Like, bring it on. That's my vote.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I want to take a second to give you guys some props because, Hernan, I'd love for you to take a quick second to give us a little bit of an elevator pitch of what you do. And then, Colin, I'll have you do the same if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah. So at ScaleRun.com, we help high-ticket coaches, consultants, service-based businesses deploy direct response machines that help them get more revenue, more book calls, and help them grow their business overall. That's what we do.
Perfect. But you've worked with some big names, right? You've worked with who? Come on, tell us.
Well, I work with Tony Robbins' team for a while, advising them on the launch of mastermind.com. I was Frank Kern's director of marketing for 3.5 years. I was Grant Cardone's director of marketing for 3.5 years. And then we work with a bunch of big names: Steve Kotler, Agora Publishing. Right now we're running ads for one of Lionel Messi's, for soccer fans out there, Lionel Messi's stores. So we, I've been blessed to have crossed paths with these people and learn from them and then reverse engineering what they do for small business owners. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. The reason that I ask you guys for what you're doing, and I appreciate you and thank you for all you're doing, is because I want people to understand that Juanita and I, when we did the show, we said we need to bring people who are changing our industry, changing the way we do business even. Because thank you, gentlemen. Colin, I love to, you're muted, by the way. I'd love to hear what you've got.
Look, I spent 10 years in Swiss banking and then 20 years in management consulting around the world. But in the past 5 years, I've really shifted to really dedicating myself to humanity, to people, to growth, to overcoming fear, to digging down. And it kind of goes back to what we were speaking about before, this idea of, what is your personal brand? What is your story? What do you want to be remembered for? Why are you here? What impact do you want to leave? So I'm just really in this place of helping people, pull themselves out of yesterday and be ready for tomorrow from a business perspective. So that's primarily working, with my team in whole human coaching, and we call it whole human coaching precisely because of the fact that we can't be divided. Like the medical system in the United States, for example, there's 41 specialties in medicine, right? So that we divide the body up into 41 parts. And I think from a coaching perspective or from a business perspective, we can't do that anymore. We can't just look at humans coming to the office at 9 a.m. and leaving at 5, and that in that 9 to 5 box, so to speak, they're going to be treated differently or just looked at as production modules. We can't do that anymore. So that's my mission: whole humanity, whole people, and how do we collectively, dive into the next century in a different way than we've done before.
Absolutely. Plus, you're also authoring a book, right? Fearless: Crossing the Bridge from Fear to Bliss. Gosh,
I am.
Nice.
Look, I just think, I've spent the last 30 years diving into the unknown and moving places, and I've lived all over the world, and I've said yes to everything, and without sort of knowing the consequences or knowing what's next. So I just really want to help people, and it's going to come out next year, but it's really kind of a step-by-step methodology to fearing less and becoming your fearless self. And the subtitle is Crossing the Bridge from Fear to Bliss, because nobody deserves to be psychologically suffering the way so many people are. And it's impacting your work, it's impacting everything. So let's go.
Let's do it. I like what you said, coming next. Can I share with you what's coming in July? Take a look.
Heroes Rising Apex is the highly anticipated business event of the year. This gathering of industry leaders, entrepreneurs, authors, and visionaries promises to be a game-changing experience that will inspire, educate, and provide networking opportunities. Get ready to immerse yourself in a world of innovation, strategy, and collaboration as we embark on an unforgettable journey of learning, growth, and success. Join us in New York on July 14th through the 16th. Go to heroesrisingapex.com for tickets.
Yeah, another exciting. That's what today is leading to. So the speakers that are going to be there are going to be in New York. What's next? Where do we move forward in business? We are literally, everybody's had a point where the pandemic, everybody's moved along, right? There's still, don't get me wrong, it's people are still getting sick and so forth, but I think we have become what I call resilient. We have adapted to this new norm, if you will. Look at the way we're doing this conference right now. We're doing a live event. International. It's incredible. So business has totally evolved. What do you think will be the next step, gentlemen? Anybody have an idea? A concept, thought?
I think it's evolved for people like us who are kind of woke up and we're aware. But I think there's a lot of work to do to bring everybody with us. So I don't think our work is done. I think it's just starting.
Yeah. You know, I have everybody knows what AI is, and on today's summit that we're doing, one of our speakers has 4 patents out on AI. And he is super interesting, beyond brilliant. And when we think about the technology, the way I just heard that certain companies were laying some people off because AI was doing their jobs. Wow. That is huge. When a corporation says, we're going to cut out workforce by these, say, 20%, 30%, and we're going to use machine learning, all these different things just to replace people. Where do these people go? How do they reinvent themselves when a machine is doing their job?
I think that personally, sorry, Sifu, but personally, I think that there's 2 ways of approaching this, right? I think that AI is here to stay. Like that's, you know,
No
it's
doubt.
like trying to fight an upcoming current, right? And you can either fight it and repel it and whatnot, or you can swim, you know, downstream. And I think that you need to update. I think that we talked about this at the beginning. Like you need to update yourself, get left behind. AI is one of the ways that you need to do it. And I think that right now it's kind of everything is hectic and everything is, you know, confusing for a lot of people. But I think that the future is going to be people that can operate AI and people that cannot. That's going to be the main difference, right? So right now there's a lot of development, and you know, at skeletron.com we're using AI to increase our productivity. But for instance, I don't want to, like, I know that we can create a lot of good copy or decent copy, I would say, with AI. I don't want to get rid of my copywriters, right? Like I don't, if anything, we're empowering them to be more successful and more productive, right? Because still, like at the state that AI is right now, it can provide like good copy, but you still need the eye and the hand of the human being, right? And I want things to be like that. So we are increasing productivity. We're empowering our employees to become more productive and freeing them up from the repetitive labor, from the, you know, the mundane tasks that we do every single day, so that they can focus on more high level things like how we can serve our clients better, right? So that, I think it's the way I would like AI to go, and how we are approaching AI as a business, and also myself as an entrepreneur. So
beautiful. You know, it's AI right now is at its infancy stage, and the people go like, "Oh, there's that." It's just the beginning, people. It's just the beginning. And Hernan, you said it perfectly. We need to use it as a tool, to grow our businesses. Because I have a wood shop as well. Could they make the things the way I need it? Maybe. You know, I'm like, yes, make it so I can do other things, so I can make more. I can do different things. I can evolve. So we can't stay. It's not 1950 anymore, is it? At all.
No.
Gentlemen, young lady. Go for it. Go for it. I think that we are going to definitely wrap it up because what an incredible conversation we've had. I am so thrilled to know all of you. I am blessed. I am
Thank you.
humbled.
It's
by you guys.
reciprocal.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, all of you.
Yes. And do me a favor, people. Follow my friends, okay? They are exceptional. Do yourself a favor, everybody. Are you ready for this? Do yourself a favor. Have yourself an exceptional day. But if you want to make it better, join me at 2 p.m. Eastern time.
Woohoo!
All right,
I'll
you
be
guys.
there.
Bye, guys.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye,
That was
everyone.
awesome.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.